Let him know what it is to be the grandson of the Earl of Dorincourt.
And Mrs. Errol?
Tell her my terms. She can take 'em or leave 'em.
Lord Fauntleroy will live at the castle with his grandfather, but he may visit you every day if you like. The only stipulation is that you shall not visit him.
We'll climb to the top of the stairs, and we'll choose the highest window we can find. And every evening, I'll light a candle there when it gets dark. And that'll be our special way of saying good night and sweet dreams.
Well, hi there, everybody.
I suppose you think you're very fond of your mother.
Yes, I do, sir. And I think it because it's true. Good night, dearest. Grandfather!
Hi, is Lord Fauntleroy in this house, Smithers?
He's a natural, your lordship, but I think he's had enough for today.
Thank you, Smithers.
Grandfather, I've been meaning to ask you. What is the house in the picture above the fire in the nursery?
It's called Wyndham Towers.
Where is it?
It's in Sussex, 2 miles from the sea.
And do you go there for holidays?
Well, not particularly. I don't know that I have what you call holidays.
Then why do you have the picture?
Because I own it. Wyndham Towers is mine.
Then who lives there?
Well, I suppose I do.
But I thought you lived here.
Well, I do. And at Wyndham Towers and Loch Fyvie in Scotland. And I suppose in Grosvenor Square.
And you go to all those places.
Well, from time to time. You shall come with me.
And are they all like Dorincourt, with farms and villages and everything?
Well, there's not much farming in Grosvenor Square.
But the others?
Much like Dorincourt.
But Grandfather, how do you find out about all those people?
What people?
All the people that work in the houses, and on the farms, and live in the villages. Why, I was just looking around Dorincourt and wondering how you keep track of everybody. Must take some doing. How do you manage it? Grandfather?
My agent, Mr. Newick. He keeps me informed.
I see. Hi there.
Morning.
But surely, Higgins, they've nothing to gain by throwing you all out at this time of year. The crops will spoil for lack of a tenant to harvest them.
You don't understand, Reverend. I've said all that. I've said it 100 times over. Last year was a bad one for us. Then with Meg being ill. And that. I could catch up if Mr. Newick would just give me to the end of the year. I know I could. I know I could.
Never mind, love. We'll manage somehow. You mustn't worry the Reverend with our troubles.
Of course you must. What do you think I'm here for? Very well. If you won't appeal to Lord Dorincourt, we must find someone who will.
I'll ask the butchers, ma'am. Thank you, Mary. Whatever's the commotion?
Where is Mrs. Errol?
I'll just go and see if she's at home, sir.
I'm afraid I've no time for all that now. Is she in here?
Sir! Mr. Mordaunt.
I am sorry to force my way in, Mrs. Errol, but I must. I have come from a sick woman, a man without hope, and a hovel that is a disgrace to our civilization. Something must be done about it, and I mean to do it.
Your motives are very commendable, sir, but I suspect that you are about to repeat your request. And so before you go to that trouble, allow me to tell you again. I cannot help you with my influence at the castle. I have none.
But surely, if you would just speak of these things when you were there, is that too much to ask?
Mr. Mordaunt, I see it is necessary to take you into my confidence. I cannot speak of these things when I am at the castle, because I will never be at the castle. My father-in-law declines to receive me. And so you see, you can do your cause no worse service than to represent it as having come from me.
Then what am I to do? Joseph Higgins is to be turned out of Edge Farm. His wife is ill, and getting worse by the day. He believes he can catch up if they give him till Christmas. I don't know if he can, but what I do know is this. If he is turned out, his wife will die and his children will starve.
I'm so sorry.
Well, there's nothing else for it. I must just try the castle once more.
I'm afraid you must, Mr. Mordaunt. May God go with you. Mary?
I know. I'll get some things into a basket.
You're English now. What if you were called upon to fight a war with America?
Oh, I could never do that. I'm a Democrat, through and through. Just because I'm an aristocrat doesn't mean I can't be a good Democrat, does it?
Not in theory. In practice, you might find it a trifle uncomfortable.
The Reverend Mr. Mordaunt.
Well, well, Mordaunt, what's the matter now?
My lord, the matter now is the same as it always is. Every day I come upon new cases of real suffering. I cannot believe it is in the interests of the estate to let such poverty and decrepitude exist.
Ah, you must do better than that if you want to push your way in here. Be off with you, Mordaunt. Go and save some souls.
Forgive me, my lord, but there is one particular matter. I have been this morning with Joseph Higgins. Mr. Newick has given him notice to leave.
Well?
My lord, pity him. His wife has been ill and he has the children to care for. If you just give him till Christmas, he thinks he can catch up.
Nonsense. He's a bad tenant. He was no better when his wife was well. The matter is a simple one. He cannot pay the rent for his farm, so he must make way for somebody who can.
But he begs you for just a little time. It will be a desperate thing for him to lose his home. He's sure he can pay off the arrears with his crop.
Bah, they all say that.
How many children does Mr. Higgins have?
4, my lord. 2 have been ill, and the doctor has ordered all sorts of things that Higgins couldn't possibly afford.
I don't know what sort of a landlord Lord Fauntleroy will make. I sent money over for him to New York with Havisham, and he spent it all on beggars.
Oh, they weren't beggars. Dick shined shoes, and he needed a new stall, that's all. But he's a hard worker. And Mr. Hobbs, he's a grocer with his own shop.
Oh, never mind about that. My head is spinning with your boots and your grocers.
There are worse people in the world, my lord.
Gee, I'm glad to hear you say that, Reverend. Grandfather seems to have a poor idea of grocers and such, and nothing I say makes any difference.
Perhaps Lord Dorincourt has never met any grocers. It is hard to form opinions in the abstract.
Why, sure you've met a grocer. Haven't you, Grandfather?
I've not been much in society lately.
And farmers, my lord? Do you meet many farmers in the normal way of things?
Mordaunt?
Well, what about this Mr. Higgins, Grandfather? Have you seen a lot of him recently?
Not recently, no.
Well, there you are. Why don't we ask Mr. Higgins to luncheon? And maybe he can explain why things aren't going too well just now.
I shouldn't dream of taking up Higgins' time.
Well, we've sure got to do something.
Very well, Cedric. If you insist that we must do something, you shall be the one to decide what. Tell Mr. Mordaunt what you would do in this case. Mordaunt, we shall abide by the boy's wishes.
My lord, surely.
Well, if I was rich, I should let him stay and give him the things for his children.
Even if the money given to Higgins must come out of the money that I give to you, for you cannot spend money out of the estate without feeling its value.
Even then. Will you write to your agent now, Grandfather?
No. You write. I'm not the philanthropist. You are. Say, Higgins is not to be interfered with at present. And sign it Fauntleroy.
But I'm afraid I can't spell so well.
Higgins won't complain about the spelling.
Well, I'm glad Joseph Higgins is to have his bit of luck. We all need it. Heaven knows he's not had much of it in this life. Besides, if it gives the little lord a bit of pleasure.
The wonder to me is that Lord Dorincourt allowed it. He was never one to be sentimental.
Now, you know what, Mrs. Mellon? I think, deep down, he admires the boy's pluck, though he'd never admit it.
So Higgins is to stay at Edge Farm. Our Ellen will be vexed. She was hoping to get it for herself and Tom this time.
I don't think they'll be shifting them Higginses if Lord Fauntleroy has anything to do with it.
Tom says he could double the crop in a year.
We'll have no sauce from you, thank you, Sarah. It is not for you to question Lord Fauntleroy's orders. Now be about your business, or is this a public holiday nobody's told me of?
A little less chat wouldn't spoil your work either, Thomas.
No, Mr. Fauntleroy.
Not that I blame the girl for being surprised, Mr. Farnsworth. It's not often you see a helping hand held out on this estate.
Ah, well, that's true enough, Mrs. Mellon.
Good day, ma'am. Good day to both of you, and thank you.
Good day to you, Mr. Higgins. And good day to you two children.
Hello, Mrs. Errol.
Please come in, Reverend.
Has Mrs. Errol done all this?
She's an angel, that one. And not too much a great lady to lay my fire. Oh, I'm cheered, Reverend, I am. Whatever your news may be.
My news is excellent, Mrs. Higgins, excellent. I have been to Mr. Newick. On Lord Fauntleroy's orders, you are to be left in peace until the end of the year at least.
Oh. I'll make a go of it this time, Reverend. I'm sure of it.
Of course you will.
May the Lord bless that child for the good he's done this day.
Amen to that, Mrs. Higgins. Amen to that.
Hello, Dawson. They said you were up here.
You're back already, my lord. Whatever is the time?
It's after 6, you know. Can we go in now?
Where's the hurry on a lovely day like this?
I've got to write a letter. I've got to finish it tonight.
Whoever to?
My friend, Mr. Hobbs. He has a grocer's shop.
Does he indeed? And where does he live?
New York.
Heavens, New York. What'll you make of your life now? I dare say it's a far cry from what he knows.
Oh, no, Dawson. As a matter of fact, he knows a great deal about lords and earls and such. He's been studying them for years. But I've got to correct him on a few points.
Oh?
Yes. You see, he thinks they're all tyrants, and he was worried for me coming over here to be one. He didn't know anyone as kind as my grandfather was ever an earl.
Didn't he indeed? Now, fancy that. How was your mother this afternoon?
Oh, very well. She gave me a picture of herself. Would you like to see it?
I should, my lord, very much. Isn't she pretty? You must be proud of a mother like that.
Oh, I am. So would you be. Why, if she were here, you wouldn't look at anyone else. I mean, I just wish she...
You must be very proud of your lad today.
I'm always proud of him, Mr. Mordaunt.
I am amazed at the way Lord Dorincourt humours him. He handed the whole matter over to Lord Fauntleroy and would have done whatever he said. I must confess, for a moment I was quite nervous.
Well, you needn't have been.
But even so, it was wonderful to see. And more agreeable than my interviews with Lord Dorincourt generally are. Do you think you can have grown fond of the boy?
I hope so. Said he's very lovable, Mr. Mordaunt, even if I am his mother.
Mrs. Errol, forgive me, of course the boy is charming. Oh, it's just that, well, I don't know that I'd have thought the Earl one to be soft-hearted over a child. There is so much good that could be done here, Mrs. Errol, so much. Have you been to the north part of Dorincourt yet? What is known as Earlsfield?
I've heard talk of it.
It is a disgrace to a civilized community, a thorough disgrace. No, there's no doubt that the Earl could bring about great changes in many people's lives here, if he could only be induced to do it.
Your lordship, Lord Fauntleroy has come to say good night.
We've had a full day, Cedric. I hope you're pleased with it.
Oh, I am. Very. And I've written to Mr. Hobbs to tell him what you've done.
Have you indeed?
Yeah. Well, you see, it was Mr. Hobbs who worried about me being a lord and all. He was afraid they were all tyrants. But now that I come to think of it, I don't know that he's met too many real lords. Kind of like you and grocers. So I wanted to set him straight.
I should hate to think that Mr. Hobbs had a poor opinion of me.
Oh, he doesn't. At least he wouldn't if he knew what you were really like. That's what I wanted to tell him.
What is that in your hand?
It's a picture of Dearest. She gave it to me today. I thought you might like to see it.
Do you miss your mother very much?
I miss her all the time. But you don't miss her, do you?
Yes, sir. Never met her.
I know that. And that's what makes me wonder. She told me not to ask any questions, and I won't. It's just... I miss her most at night. And then, before I get into bed, I go to the window, and I can see her light.
A light?
She puts a candle in her window every night, and I can look at it, and I know what it says.
What does it say?
It says, "Good night, and God keep you." So you see, I'm quite safe.
Oh, reassuring. Now I too must bid you good night. Though I am less confident than your mother of God's intentions.
Good night, Grandfather. Shall we get out, Grandfather?
In a moment, Fauntleroy.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Mellon, I forgot the time.
Later, Sarah. Good day, Mrs. Errol.
Steady. Well, Higgins?
Oh, is it Mr. Higgins?
Yes, my lord. Mr. Mordaunt told me as how you... Well, as how you spoke up for me. And I thought as how I'd like to say a word of thanks. If I might be allowed. I have a great deal to thank your lordship for. A great deal. And I don't know how I...
Oh, I only wrote the letter, Mr. Higgins. It was my grandfather who did it. But you know how he is, always being generous to everybody. Is Mrs. Higgins well now?
You see, Higgins, you people have been mistaken in me. Lord Fauntleroy understands me. Come, Cedric.
Goodbye, Mr. Higgins.
Excuse me, ma'am, but the family always sits in the pew at the front where his lordship is.
Thank you, but I'll sit here if I may.
But your little boy's up front, ma'am.
I'm quite comfortable here. Thank you.
Mrs. Bumfrey.
I'll take you to see the Higgins cottage if you wish it.
Oh, I do. Are they all quite well now, do you think?
Not quite, not yet. But I think they will be, with God's help.
And the farm will be safe?
Well, that's up to Mr. Higgins, Seddy. He means to try, and I think he'll succeed.
But we were right to help, weren't we?
Oh, you helped them, Seddy, far more than I. And yes, it was right. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, but it wasn't me. It was Grandfather who did it. I only wrote the note.
I know. Mr. Morton told me all about it. Seddy, it's possible that it may be in your power to do a great deal of good here. There's certainly plenty that needs doing.
I'll tell Grandfather that. He loves to do good.
If that is so, then you must strive to be like him.
I will.
But you see, Seddy, sometimes it's not so easy to be rich and to have power. It may be that one is so taken up with one's own pleasures that one neglects the duty to others.
Grandfather's not like that. He wants to help others. Look how he helped Mr. Higgins.
If that is so, then it's a fine thing. So, tell me how your riding's going.
Oh, famously. We go out every day now.
And do you ride through the north part of the village? The part they call Earlsfield?
No, I don't think we've ever been that way.
Well, perhaps you should. Mr. Mordaunt's told me a great deal about it. I think it might interest you. And your grandfather.
Hello. Beg pardon, my lord. Oh, no. Wait. Wouldn't you like to stay a moment? You can sit by the fire if you wish. I don't mind.
No, my lord, I doesn't.
Are you afraid of old Melon?
I am not, my lord. You should see her when she's in a bait. I'd catch it if she knew I was talking to you at all, and that's the truth.
I don't see why. It's kind of a treat for me to talk to someone my own age. Would you like a chocolate? I've got some here if you would. Here you are. Come on, sit down. Just for a moment. You're Lucy, aren't you? We met before. Tell me, Lucy, do your folks come from around here? Have you ever heard of a place called Earlsfield? It's in the village. Do you know it?
Yes, my lord, I do. I've a sister just live there.
But not your parents?
I've got no parents, my lord. Only my sister, Lizzie.
Well, I guess I kind of know what that's like. I've got no father. At least I got one, but he's in heaven, if you know what I mean. But I got a mother. It must be tough without either one. Does your sister look after you?
Well, I don't know about that, my lord. She's got more than she can cope with looking after herself and her family. That's why they're down in Earlsfield, because they can't find nothing better.
Oh, it's not very nice then.
Well, no. I don't know as anyone would call it very nice, my lord. Meaning no offence.
I'm interested, you see. For my mother was telling me about it, and I mean to go and see when I next go down that way. And if
sorry. I was just... It's not her fault, Sarah. I asked her to stay.
Don't look so stricken, Lucy. I won't say anything to Mrs. Mellon, but you better get a move on. And be quick about it.
Yes, Sarah. Thank you. Sarah, who makes all the rules?
I don't know the answer to that, my lord, but I know who has to follow them.
Thanks, Jim. Good morning, my lord.
Oh, look, Grandfather. There's Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins, good morning.
Morning to you, my lord. Your lordship.
Oh, my boy, you seem to have made us very popular.
Oh, Grandfather, you were always popular.
Was I?
Of course.
Morning, my lord. Clarkson, when will the landau be ready?
Can we go this way today?
Now, my lord. Cedric! Cedric, not that way! Cedric! Damn the boy! Cedric!
Who are these people?
Villagers. Some of my tenants.
Your tenants? But Grandfather, why did no one tell you how things were here? Why didn't Mr. Newick say? That was wrong, wasn't it? To hide things from you.
They told me.
Well, then Mr. Newick has been neglecting your orders. Hasn't he, Grandfather?
Come, Cedric. We'll go home now. Cedric, someday we'll be an earl, and all the village and these farmlands will belong to you. That and a great deal more beside.
To me? When?
When I'm dead.
Then I don't want it. I want you to live forever.
Well, that is kind. Nevertheless, it will be yours when you are the Earl of Dorincourt. See to it that you're a better one than I have been.